So, good evening, guys, and welcome to what is the second last race of the season in P0, and there's a lot on the line going into tonight. So let's get a little rundown of exactly what is what, because we have some invitations. So Rob, of course, our championship leader. If he was to win and take the fastest lap, Matty fourth or lower, Matoman third or lower, and Rob would win the championship. If Rob just wins and no fastest lap, it's the exact same. Matty would need to be in the top 3, Matoman would need to be in the top 2. If Rob is second and with the fastest lap, Matty would need to be in the top 5, and Matoman would still need to finish in the top 3 to take it on to next week. Rob second, no fastest lap, it's also the exact same. And then Rob third and fastest lap, Matty would need to be in the top 7, Matoman in the top 4. And if Rob is third with no fastest lap, Matty gets, both drivers actually get an extra position out of that, so Matty would need to be in the top 8, Matoman in the top 7, so that's going to be one to watch. Of course, that's all dependent on our championship leader leading the race. Of course, if Rob's in a different situation, then it might be a little different, but of course we hope, for the sake of the racing, we have a nice clean open battle. The guys have been very good all season, so I'm sure with 2 to go they won't let it get on top of them. So let me just post the streams. So let me just add that picture and add the stream below. So let's get on to the chat. Of course, Mexico this evening, a track I know and love very, very well. Good evening, Chris and Jock. I am here. Good evening, Stephen and Skarma and Mike. European government. I mean, I'm going to remove Stephen's moderator role. Look at that, like, oof. Just because he never said hello in the chat. How can you be a moderator if you're not polite? You lose the spanner, sir. I'm just kidding. I'll give you back, promise. Yes, we're good to go, Rob. Sorry, we just seen your message. It sounded like I was dying. It was all that KOK. I'm sorry. How are we, Michael? Hope you're well. Oh, look, Stephen, you don't have a spanner anymore. Although it certainly doesn't suit your personality. Dixie, Rodders, Matty and Laverick still to pick their tyres, of course. You sound like I'm not that lucky, Michael, in terms of sound like I'm dying as well. I think at this point somebody be doing me a favour. Good, it's good to hear you're very good. And we wait, Dixie and Laverick being the 2 cork in the bottles, all that tricky tyre choice. And now we go, so short qualifying, and then 30 ahead. Strategy pretty open between the medium and the soft tyre. You probably want to avoid the hards at all cost. So let's leave it on that and see who we have first out of the traps. Who's it going to be? Guys having a good look at the weather. Is there decisions being made for some damp stuff to come? I think Matoman would honestly welcome a bit of rain in terms of the championship fight. He goes very well in the wet weather, so yeah. Maybe Matt would be happy to take some wet weather in the race. He might feel he's got an advantage there, although Matty also very good in the wet weather. I think we have FR3A. A new lad, actually know his name. So let's just go to that. Marvin, so we'll just call him Marvin. This fella here we're on board with. Or we could call him FRA. But he has the lead man on an outlap. No assist. That was a little bit of an inside lock up there. And he's on energy on the outlap, so that's... Oh, and he's caught the cup on the inside, and he'll go round, and I think that will be some damage on the win. Michelando leaves the session. Hope that's not a connection issue. Good evening, Leon. I hope you're well. Leon, you're not on track. Where have you been? Where you at, boy? So who's our lead man now? I think it's Keith. Just coming into the stadium section, round turn 12. And he will be the first man to get on a hot lap. I think Skarma, the next man behind. No, it's not. It is Marvin. And then the 12 for the male boys are Chubby Slug and Alwyn Evans not far behind. So Keith, our first man, heading down towards turn 1 for the first time. Nice low fuel mode. Car and fuel trim. Not choosing to straddle too much the curb. Just taking the apexes nicely. There is more time to be found there, but still gets a good exit off the 3. DRS open heading up towards turn 4. Again, another corner where you really want to compromise your line a little bit on exit to pick up the better line for this part of the circuit. Then up to the double right hander again. Don't be so worried about your first apex, because the second one in exit is much more critical. Then into the high speed S's. Down to 6th gear, Keith goes for 5th. 6th gear is definitely more stable than carry speed. You see a lot of drivers just be hesitant here, very, very worried. They're tracking validation. You see Keith even have a big lift, and it was that step of the brakes that actually unsettled his car. And we'll put it to tyre as he messes his apex massively into the stadium section. And round the last corner he goes. Will he take the tight line on the exit and try and minimise the distance to the line? He does. It's a 17.7 for Keith first. And whereas Alwyn Evans, he's got out it. So let's go to Chubby Slug. He's not far away. He's had to get out his lap as well. He's invalidated his run. So where do we have drivers now? Where is Skarma coming? Skarma into stadium section, lighting up the middle sector, so he's on a PB. So we'll stay with the Mercedes man. So he comes up to the last corner of Shiv now, goes on to provisional pole on a 16.6, but of course a lot more laps to come in the session. To the line goes Scum, it's a 16.1, puts half a second on Shiv, and Jock gets disqualified for facing the wrong way. Yikes. Matty now, he's on an invalidated lap, and this is something where drivers will struggle. Matoman nicely through turns 2 and 3, taking much more curb than we've seen before, and taking the nice shallow line up towards 4. Let's see what kind of line he takes through the end apex of 4. Is he going to try and bring the car across to the left? Yes, he is, to try and open up this right hander, allow you to get on the throttle a bit earlier, then up to the double right, compromise a little bit on your entry because the exit is paramount. Then down towards the SEs. Will Matterman staying 6th gear for here. He again down to another driver down to 5th gear, so I think I've maybe realised where some guys are struggling a little bit. The guys in automatics probably going to gear low for them. Matterman though keeping it in the limits of the SEs. Done a 57.2 middle sector, so he's pretty competitive here. I think it's going to be a low 17, maybe even a high 16 for Matterman here as Shiv now goes to a 15.9. Matterman round the last corner. You take the tight line all the way around, and it's going to be, it's a 16.5. He finds a good chunk of time actually, and he goes a second. Mick on the medium compound tyre. A good old lap there for Matterman. Where is Matty? We see FRA having a big moment. Matty on a hot lap at the moment, but he's got Michelando just ahead, and this is going to compromise Matty's lap. Michelando goes very, very wide, and Matty will feel like he's losing a bit of time here. Into the last corner he goes. Michelando also coming to the line, so Michelando goes P10 and Matty goes to P5, but Matty's definitely going to have 3 or 4 tenths in the pocket, I would say, in that last lap because of traffic. Of course, Michelando's on the lap as well, and that's just unfortunate how it is sometimes. Sometimes you can't avoid the driver in front. If you're both for a hot lap, nobody has to back out. Yeah, Leon literally spectator cursed the boy. So where else do we have laps? How is Speechy getting on? Coming through turn 1, 2 and 3. So go back on board with the Red Bull man. So I think 52 somewhere, anywhere in the 52s, maybe 53 sector 2 is going to be pretty competitive. Just looks like winning validation, or maybe it was actually 56, I could be wrong. I'm just chatting absolute bollocks at this point, chat. So Speechy looking nice and tidy. Don't you Emperors tonight, we get to see Matt officially battle the championship he was winning. Ouch. So Speechy goes up to P6 and he's Red Bull 16.9. It's a nice tidy lap. Battle championship leader. Coming into stadium section, it's a 56.2, so he's very, very competitive as he falls in to the last few corners of the lap. Nice and tidy. Easy on the power. Brings the car up nicely. Is Rob going to go for the tight line on the exit? Yes, he is. He's going to hold the curb all the way around. And it's a 15.2 for Rob. A monumental gap on the field. And a 16.2 for Chubby Slug on the medium compound tyre. And 4 laps on that medium. He's probably going to be looking to go and start on the softs now. Skarma just opening a lap, I think he is. So we'll stay with the Mercedes man. I'd say Skarma, one of the most consistent qualifiers of the season. Just needs to work on his race pace a little bit. I think he knows that himself. Because the potential is there for him to do very well. Look at the gaggle of traffic now coming through turn 1, 2 and 3. These guys are making it very careful. There's nobody on a hot lap behind them. And Steven says, go Mick. Oh, excuse me. Let's have a little yawn. Oh, and Skarma gets away with it there, so definitely cut the limits, but lifted enough for the game to let him have that. Has that compromised him any time? No, he's still 3.5 tenths up, so the lift down that little straight there's probably cost him 3 or 4 tenths, so Skarma had a chunk of time. Definitely front row potential. No mech updates every lap. Or else. And it's a 15.6 for Skarma, so Skarma could have been on par with Rob Wills for sure in my opinion. And Mick now goes to P7 at 16.7, he does improve. Just for you SPW, get on board as he finds the lap time. Someone we've not been with, let's go with Michelando. A nice view from the front wing as he heads to the braking zone. Turn 1, picks up the brakes 100 metres. Tuck it in nicely to the apex, and again cutting the curbs as much as you dare through 2. Getting the nice exit, and he picks up an invalidation that he has to get out of the lap. Here comes Pedro, his teammate. A nice tight exit. He's going to stay left, try and get a bit of toe, but Michelando not having any on. Pedro's just on an out lap at the moment. I thought it was on a hot lap. So let's watch Wingman of the season. Haha. All kidding aside, he has drove very well. And done what he had to do to get jobs done. Through the S as he comes, carrying very committed speed. Able somehow to get away with that one. So let's see his middle sector split. It's a 57.0 for Adam. So top 5, I think, potential for Dixie. If he can hook the last sector up, of course he's on the much better tyre now for in terms of grip. So through the last corner he goes. Is he going to hold that tight line? Yes, he is. Tuck it in nice and tight. To the line he goes. And it's P6 for Dixie, 16.5. He does squeeze himself up to that top of the mid-16 pack though. I think he'll be pretty happy with that. So still a few tenths in the lap. Alvin Evans now up to P3 as well after a Milky Bun for a very good day. And they need it in terms, well, I think Constructors is over, but they could do a job to secure second. Where's Metcalf? Oh, excuse me, chat. On an invalidated lap. Who's the Red Bull coming through? Is that Mick on a second run? Ah, he's on an invalidated run. Speech on an out lap. So I think it's going to be the quiet before the storm. Although Chev just opened the lap, so we'll go on board with the McLaren man. And we will go on board for a full lap of Mexico. So heading down to turn 1, DRS wide open. Going to pick the brake in about 100 metres. Tuck up nicely, misses the apex of one a little bit, but it's all about how much of the curbs you take now through 2 and 3, and that was very good through the exit or the apex of turn 3. Absolutely on the limit of track limits there. Now up to turn 4, pick your braking. He's half a tenth down, so maybe just that turn 1 cost him a bit of time. He's missed his apex just a little bit at 6 as well, through 7 and 8. Nice and tidy. Then into the SEC goes, choosing not to attack too much of the curb. He's just going to get the car through the tricky section, carrying good speed, no braking for Shiv. One of the first guys we've seen not get lumped with understeer next and get pulled wide. He's a couple of tenths down on his last sector, so while we see Shiv, he is just going to back out it. And I think he will go in for a fresh set of rubber. Pedro slotted up to P8 and a 16.5. And Dixie did improve, so Dixie went to 16.1, he went for a second lap. And did find a chunk of time. And did put himself inside that top 6. Let's see if we've got anybody on a hot lap. I don't think we do. There's Rob, he's opening a lap. So Shiv, I think he was going again, 10th and a half down sector 1, no Dixie into the pits. Matoman, one of the championship contenders. Onto the soft tyre for him, of course. His 16.2 was done in the medium, so let's stay with Matoman. We'll see just how much that time he's got the car as the track goes quiet before everybody heads out for the last runs. A nice exit through the first couple of chicanes for Matt. Let's see how tidy he keeps it through turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. It's a nice exit there in this soft lap. Looking much better for Mataman. And then 8, 9, 10 and 11 all come at you thick and fast. Mataman very committed there through the SEs. Could this be up? Yes, it is 7.5 tenths. So Mataman just needs to find some time in the last sector, of course, which he will as long as he keeps it tidy. And I think he's about to put the pressure onto the Ferrari man on that pole position slot. Rob Wills, his championship contender. Matty, of course, a few tenths off the pace at the moment. He's on his outlap for his last run, but where does Chubby Slug go? He goes on to provisional pole with a 1:15.159 and takes it by 4/100ths of a second to Rob Wills at the moment. Mataman may feel that he's got some more time, so he can go in a charge lap and probably go again. Shiv, not on a lap. And a lot of drivers now heading out their outlap. Alvin Evans on one note. Mataman's teammate. And he's just going to get right out that lap nice and early. So Mick on board with the Red Bull man, can he put a challenge on the top 10? He wants to find a few tenths and he could gain himself quite a few positions, absolutely on the limit there. At turn 8, and nice through 9 and 10. 9, carrying nice speed through the S's. Exit 11 is pretty good. He's pretty much breaking even on his lap time. Into 12 he goes. Mika gets well out of the way. Good man there. Then into the sections, turn 13, 14 and a little kinky 15 into the last corner of turn 16. Then to the line he goes, keeping it nice and tight, and he does improve. He goes to P7, he finds half a second in that last sector, and it's a 16.0 for Mick. So championship leader, let's go aboard with the Ferrari man. He comes through the middle sector for the last time, or what I think will be the last time he, no, in fact it will be, because he won't have the energy, and he's just up enough. In fact, he is not. He would lose out by 1/1000th of a second if the lap was, the finish line was at that sector 2 split. It would be a 15.160 for Rob. So has he got the time? And he's out this last corner. To the line he goes, and he does take pole back by 8/100ths of a second. Matoman's session is over. We'll go on board the Skarma. Can he put Matoman to the sword anymore? Where is Mati also? He's invalidated, so Mati's session is over. Unless he's got 30 seconds, he can go again, so Mati's going to be a very late runner. Skarma's lap is over. How's Armin Evans getting on? It seems done for him. We'll get on board for with Dixie. He comes through the S's for the last time, keeping it nice and tight. They're absolutely on the limit of the track boundaries. He was there. Now he's a 10th and a half up now. If he can find some more time in this last sector, Adam could really threaten the top 4 here. So nice and tight through the stadium section. Laverick's session is over. Into the last corner he goes, and he's got to keep it as tight as he possibly can, maximise the time gain. And here he goes to the line. He goes P7. He finds nearly 3/10. It's a 15.9 and runs Shiv out. So where else do we have drivers? Matt, half a 10th up sector 1. That's a PB. So we will stay with him. Who's the Red Bulls coming into the last sector? Is that Mick? No, it's not. I think it's a Red Bull coming into the pitch. Yes, it is Peachy. And Keith coming to the line. Is he about to improve? I don't think he did. So we'll go back to Matty. He comes through the S's. His sector 2 is critical. He is carrying good speed. Gets a nice exit. He's got some traffic ahead. Metcalf getting in the way. Matty easy enough to avoid it though. 3.5 up for Matty, so he's looking at a 15.4 as it stands in the sector 2 split. So he needs a few more tenths to try and threaten the front row, but I think he will go to P3, and I think we are set for a Mexico top 3 shootout of our 3 championship protagonists. Yes, we do. Matty slots into P3 in a 15.3, and we must say for the start, he's probably in the prime position. Bear in mind, one of the longest runs to turn 1 from the starting grid, and P3 starts in the slipstream of P1. So we are set for an absolute bumper start. So it would be 2 races to go, and if it finished the way it is, of course the championship would go to next week. Whatever Matoman does, if Rob Wells win the race, he needs to be P2 or he will fall out the fight. The track is vile. It's a tricky old circuit. I think it's a very Marmite track. I love it, but I totally understand why some hate it. So that is qualifying. Rob Wells on pole for 2 races to go, and it was a very, very closely contested pole between himself and Matoman. Bear with me 1 second please, chat, and then we'll be back. Slam back chat, yes Shiv, I know, I said that just at the end, as Matty was banking that P3 lap, I'll be set for the top 3 in the championship to start alongside each other for this penultimate race of the season, and that is very much the case. So I think in terms of running to turn 1, depending on the start, it certainly looks like advantage Matty, but the start is a very, very critical point of the race. If you can't go forward, you just need to secure your position. And of course, the top 3 in the championship need to be very aware, because there might be some guys getting punchy into that first corner. There's other battles in the championship and everybody's entitled to a fair crack. So let's just hope that it's all nice and tidy. There will be some wheel banging, that's just racing, but I am sure, very sure, that it's going to be pretty entertaining, this race. So let's go to tyres so we can get a look. So top 10 I'll start on the softs. Then we get Pedro P11 on that fresh medium tyre, Speechy P12 on the softs, Metcalf Yeri on the mediums, and Marvin Mr FR 3801 also on the medium compound tyre. Row 1 for the penultimate Grand Prix of the season will be Rob Wills and Chubby Slug, the 2 championship protagonists. And then lining up in row 2 in P3 is Matty, also the 3rd championship protagonist. It is between them 3 and they start top 3 in the grid. Yeah, but when have you ever seen a league race that's contactless? I'm talking about in the game. I know it's a contactless sport in real life, but it happens in here. Mike and Stephen have a little dab in the chat. So row 3 in the grid is Mika and Arwen. Row 4 is Dixie and Shiv. Row 5, Laverick and Mick. Then row 6 we have Pedro and Speechy. Row 7 we have Metcalf and Yeri. Row 8 Rodders and Keith, and row 9 Marvin and Doc. Yes, Leon, I would agree. Arwen looked competitive as well in the race. He's coming on to good form. So let's go to position change. I think that's a nice critical thing to be on. And we'll go back to Jock, who's the man at the back of the pack. I'm not saying that, Mike. So Jock will be the man to file the last place. The computer takes control. So Rob will roll into that P18 grid slot. We'll go to Rob Wills as we watch afar, as we'll get the little reset. And the P0, the penultimate race of the season, the Mexican Grand Prix, is ready to go, and they are away now. Who gets the better start off the front 3? It seems to be pretty even, although Matoman's really starting to stretch his leg, but you'll see now Matty gets the run. He's in that position. Matty just needs to hold that door closed though, not let Matty through. He's got the inside line. It's a long old race, and behind, who's all getting involved? Skarma now trying to take some opportunity through turn 1, and he'll get through on Matty, so Skarma going to get opportunistic, and he gets through. Now, here he comes, Wills and Chubby Slug got through. P1's the Robert, they're going to take a risk. Yellow flag in sector 1, Pedro has fell to the back of the grid, and Skarma, there's contact. Matty Skarma out, and that cost Matty chunks of race position now. This race now gets critical for Matty, because if he's at fault there, that could be a penalty getting into the last race also. So, Reaper to come. Dixie's going to start P3 off the start, Mick up P6. Gained very well off the starting positions as well. Oh, Mika Lando v Dixie Enormous. This is a battle we've seen many times across the season. Shiv get himself up to position. He's chasing down Mick in the Red Bull. But the story of that is Matty down 5 positions on the opening lap of the race, and now he's behind a train of drivers that I don't think he would have wanted to get stuck behind. Honestly, it's Chubby Slug sets the fastest lap of the race. Why did Scott turn into Matty? It was really hard for me to tell exactly how that played out on the onboard. Is Shiv going to make any move on Matty? Hit his leg. So Mato Man stretching his legs a little bit. He is using a little bit of energy, but I think he wants to break the DRS here. He wants to have a clean fight at Rob on sheer race pace, no DRS involved, and I think Mato Man might feel like he's got the measure of Rob a little bit. If he can find himself some early time as well, as there's something happening for Matty's round even more, and his championship hopes really start to slide away now. And this is not what he needed at all for his race. He's down 14 positions. He's only got Pedro behind him. Pedro's took a pit stop. And Skarma also round as well. I think that was maybe in the contact with Matty. As Yeri, Metcalf and Keith all go wheel to wheel in the stadium. Matman sets another fastest lap of the race at 1:18.6, and him and Rob are checking out. His DRS is enabled. On to lap 3, Shiv into the pits. I wonder if that's for damage, as we see somebody there, Yeri, trying to break the top. As we see Metcalf chasing, Speechy and Keith also. Laverick and Jock go wheel to wheel, and Jock will go through in the Alpine. He's now up 11 positions, and through he goes. Race pace looking very good, but he has burned a lot of energy. Scum and Speechy going wheel to wheel. Keith also involved in this one as well. Oh, and there's a big dive bomb there for Keith as we're watching on board for Speechy. And I think Keith lost out a little bit there. It's now Metcalf seems to be getting pushed off a little bit. Him and Speechy will go side by side in the S's. Not a very safe place to, as Marvin picks up his first time penalty of the race, and one of the first drivers to collect the ticket. So let's go to this little battle here. Dixie, a bit of a cork in the bottle for these guys. He's got a bit of an energy advantage to beat Lando behind about 15-20%, so I think Adam just shouldn't use any here. Let Mika burn it, and then he can look at extending his stint, save holding on to the energy a bit. But here comes Alan Evans also. Dixie could lose out a couple of positions. Alan Evans will look down the inside and into turn 1. We'll try and get that position back, but Dixie's going to fight it out. He's going to stay on that inside line. A good bit of racing there between himself and Arvin will close him out there. And on he goes to P4. Speechy now second driver to get the time penalty. And Rob Wills close it back into Mataman just a little bit. Adam's a big woman, he should defend like a lion. So he needs to use a bit of energy here. He does not want to lose the DRS, because once you lose it, you tend to start going backwards at a track like Mexico. So Arvin Evans and Mika Lando about to do battle, and Arvin Evans I think has got this absolutely in the bag here, because he has got oodles of energy compared to Mika Lando. So here he comes. Will he commit to using any more? No, I think he's just going to creep up on the DRS. He'll feint to the inside, go to the racing line. Mika Lando not going to put up too much of a fight there. And through Arvin Evans goes. So Mika Lando maybe hoping to stay in the DRS here and just build a bit of energy himself. Of course, Armin gets the good measure of a second at DRS. As Lafrick and Jock now go battle yet again further back, as does Speechy. And Keith a bit of wheel banging there between the two as they come out in the exit 3. And who's that coming to get involved as well? Metcalf coming to join the party. So let's see Mika now. He is holding on to Arwin. Arwin not very comfortable in the energy, and we've got a yellow flag sector 2 and Jock is out. This could be an early safety car, and the safety car is out. So, safety car out. So double stacks inbound for the teams. I think we'll see a lot of the drivers bolting on now the medium compound tyre. And now it is a clear run for them. Mick on board, there you go, young man. So Metcalf on his medium compound tyres up to P4, as is Marvin. Now I'd be interested to know who was ahead there between Marvin and Mick. Just had an ice cream? What kind of ice cream? Had some earlier, some clotted cream ice cream. It was amazing. So a reset in the race. And it will be after everybody's took their pit stop. Chubby Slug P1, Rob Wells P2, Mika 3, Metcalf 4, Arwin P5, Dixie P6, Marvin P7, Mick P8, Laverick P9, Yerry P10, Speech 11, Skarma 12, Shiv P13, Pedro P14, Keith P15, Rodders P16 and Matty P17. That is ruthless. Mike, you keep the fucking jokes to yourself. Don't make me put you in harmony, joke. Bonk. So I think we'll do one more lap under safety car. So one more lap. So one more lap under safety car to go. At least I managed to not do it for once in the season. Yeah, the S's a tricky old bit of the circuit, honestly. It's definitely a tricky one. Is Mick and FRA are coming together. Mick gets a 5-second time penalty there, so if he's going to box again, which there is a possibility of, he will fall down the order. So safety car will come in this lap, everything. I think Matterman's just about to get the call any moment, and there it comes, safety car in this lap. So he becomes the de facto pace setter. It is down to him to back the pack up, get them all just a bit closer together, and he can pull the trigger and when he wants to launch this race. Just got to let that safety car get into that pits. Let's watch on board from Rob. When is Matterman going to choose to go? I think it's going to be a late one here for Matt. So guys, anticipating early, and Matt gets a nice little launch off the last corner. He's got a bit of a run on Rob, and look at Mika Lando. Here he comes against Rob Wells. Can he get the run down into turn 1? Is he going to be close enough? He is gaining in that slipstream. He's gaining and gaining and gaining all the time. He's going to back out the energy, so I think he's not going to take any risks. It's Dixie, Arwin, Evans and Metcalf all go side by side, and somehow Dixie squeezed out Arwin, got through the middle of Metcalf and made up 2 positions on that restart. So Dixie getting a very, very good launch off the restart. He's up to P4 on his fresh medium compound tyre, and he can now continue the battle that he was in with Mika Lando. The slug though absolutely checking out early. Medium tyres nicely fired up. And Rob Bell's in a little bit of a window of Mika Lando now. Will we see Chris go for that move? As Metcalf and Harlan go side by side. And further down the order, what's happening there? We've got Speechy, Laverick, Marvin and Shiv all doing battle. And Shiv picks up a time penalty for multiple women's. And on, who's that? Somebody falling down the order, or is that just my game? Mataman setting the fastest lap. Yes, we'll see you then, Jock. It was a pleasure, as always. So Mataman pulling away into the distance. Dixie still means business in this top 3 fight. Dixie going a little bit deep. Metcalf all over the back at Arvin's as well. Took him a little bit understeered on Mick on the back at... Oh, and Metcalf's going to go very deep. That's going to allow Mick to launch through. Can Skarma get the run here as well? Mick will get ahead. Skarma need to tuck in behind. Almost a bit of contact there as he head into the S's. Jerry and Skarma both get time penalties there for multiple warnings, and a bit of lag there for Skarma. Not too bad though, and now the front 4 start to stretch apart. The DRS gaps opening up. I think that's going to make it pretty stalemate between these. DRS enabled this lap, so if you've got any time in the pocket, now's the time to use it to get yourself back inside that window. Mika Lando draining the tank, as is Dixie. He is pushing, he wants to try and pick up DRS. He's very good through turns 1 and 2, finds a couple of tenths of time, somebody falling down the order. That's Jerry, he's at the moment at turn 1. And through he goes to the back of the grid. Rear tyres absolutely spent. Now he's had a spin. And we've got Shiv hunting the back of Laverick. He's going to look up the inside to turn 6. He is not. Oh, and Chris White's had a big moment and he's out. This could be another safety car. Chris White is out of the race. We watched on board there from Adam. And we see Chris White have a monumental moment on the exit of the S's. Are we going to get a safety car? It's a double yellow sector, so nobody can overtake in sector 2 or 3 at the moment. And I think, just maybe, that's going to clear. So Dixie back into the podium positions. Mick within striking distance of P4 of the race. Of course, he's got some time penalties. It's all in the setup, Mike. If he does, obviously. At least somebody's putting him to good use. Hey. Shiv and Skarma doing a bit of battling further back, wheel to wheel, as well as Matty involved in that, and Laverick, and they're all blitzing towards each other up this back straight. Pedro in this fight also, as is Keith. So where does the opportunity come for these guys? Matty on a bit of a recovery mission. He's doing not bad at the moment, up to P8. Just got to pick his way through the traffic methodically. Look at the run Skarma's got off the S. He's not sure if he picked up a warning there. He is going to try and come down the inside to Shiv. has to get out. Can Pedro capitalise on this battling up ahead? We've got a bit of a train here behind Metcalf. So action about to come, I think, as Metcalf goes a little bit wide off the last corner. So here we go, Speechy will get the run down the inside. We've got Matty, Laverick, Shiv, Skarma and Pedro all in hot pursuit. So here goes Speechy on Metcalf and Matty coming through also. Is Matty now going to try and capitalise and get through? And Speechy also, he'll switch back to the racing line and go big on the brakes, and that is some beautiful driving there from Matty, inside to outside, 2 overtakes into turn 1, P8 to P6. Job done in terms of recovery. 6-second gap now to Mick, but he has some clean air, so can he close the distance? Energy levels top 5, here you go. Got Mick on 30%, 20% for Arwen, 35% for Adam, 17% for Rob and 50% for Matterman. Matterman in a very good place at the moment. And let's watch the Mick Arwen battle, because Mick has creeped up. Now this is probably not the place you want to get the overtake done. You want to just close up behind them, use the DRS to be on the bumper. It's quite a slow, cumbersome sector, so you're not going to be disturbed too much in aero performance. So you can stay pretty much on the driver in front and then get the run off the last corner here. And as long as we're even 6-7 tenths, you're more than close enough to get the run. So here comes Mick. We'll watch the Red Bull man as the DRS flap will now open, and he will close massively, pull to the inside line, and he'll put himself back up into top 4 in the race. Is Arwen going to try and fight it around the long way? He chooses not to at the moment. And he is up now 5 positions. When that gets us from Mr. Steven. And who's that in the McLaren? Shiv looking punchy on Skarma. This little battle is continuing on. Matty got half a second out that little group in front, so doing not too bad. And Mick, of course, closing in a bit. And Dixie, Shiv tries to go round the very, very long way. Now he's got his teammate for good measure up alongside. Keith thinks about the move. Is Shiv able to get back ahead? Now look at Skarma hunting the back of Metcalf. A little bit of lag there as Metcalf now put in the tight line. That's going to cost Shiv a bit of time. He had to probably get out that right in the middle of the S's, and he's going to go through here into turn 12 on the brakes. He'll still have Skarma for the DRS into the next lap also, so we're pretty happy to get the move done nice and early there, because he'll feel that his pace and race has to go with Skarma. Here comes Arwen back on Mick. He'll fake to the inside line on Arwen, back right out of there. I think Arwen's second guess whether he wanted to go inside or outside. Will he get the run up to turn 4? Is he going to make the move here? No, he's just going to sit behind. Maybe Arwen's not looking to fight it too much. He knows Mick's got the penalty, he just needs to stay there. The question is, Matty is going to come and get involved in this fight. When? So do you want to sit here, or would you rather try and clear Mick and hope that Mick fights Matty? And that saves you a bit of time, and Matterman picks up his first time penalty of the race. He is just clear of that gap, but is that the little bit of energy Rob Wills needed to spur him on? Oh, and Skarma out! Skarma out at the S's. This could be a safety car. Oh, it's only the VSE now. Will anybody box on this at the front? Does anybody fancy another new medium to the end? It could be the time to do it, and you would have a monumental advantage come the end of the race. Oh, and it's a full safety car. Full safety car out, so everybody now surely goes to a fresh medium tyre. If you have it, even if it's a little bit warm, the medium tyre now will go to the end of the race very comfortably. If you started on the softs, then you're in trouble. Mick serving that 5-second time penalty, so through he goes. And on to the softs for Dixie, so that's a tough call there for Dixie. Skarma backs out the session. So Chubby Slug, Rob Wills, Matty, through they go. I think so. I I don't think he was quite. He was indecisive, I think, which made him choose not to do it. R17 of course can be, but maybe he's going to try and get punchy. Soft tyres can go a good distance, you know, they can do 10-12 laps. So by the time the safety car comes in, you're going to be at about lap 30. Maybe it's a stab in the dark. Maybe Adam can make this work. I think it's a big ask, but now I'm just thinking the tyre will do 12 to 15 laps. Depending on how long this safety car's out for, could you make it to the end? Matterman choosing not to pit. Maybe these guys in the mediums feel like that this guarantees them getting that tyre to the end. So maybe that's their intentions. So it's Dixie downward. No, well, I don't think that necessarily means it's a two-stop now. Because you can do like 26 laps on the mediums SPW. 24, 26 laps, so this might just nail in the one stop for them. Yeah, that's the advantage, of course. You hit the nail on the head, they can just lean on the front of the car a bit more, which helps just hold that front in check just a little bit longer. And I genuinely think it's worth 2 or 3 laps on the tyre. So, of course, the guys that don't lock up often will get away with it longer. So safety car's going on a lap, bear with me chat, I will be back. So safety car's still out, of course. Will the pack be caught up for this next lap? Yeah, I think it will. Mick is going to piss this. So will the safety car get in this lap? And is it starting to look a little bit dull in the skies, chat? And that is genuine, it certainly is starting to change. So safety car will go in this lap. And now the question is, what happens? Is the weather changing? That's the question. These mediums, Metcalf's going to be in a world of pain in that hard compound tyre restart. I will tell him that for absolute free. Chef's scared. I think he should be with that man sitting right behind you on the fresh soft compound tyre, because with conditions changing, this soft compound tyre, I think, could it be the tyre to be on? And they are away back racing, so let's go to the front. Chubby Slug checks out about the same place he did before, and Speechy now trying to get the run. Marvin doing well there, he's just going to peel off to the side of the road. Let's see if the soft compound tyre can do any damage. Not on the main straight anyway. And now if there is weather coming, when does it come? No, and Dixie, what's happened there? Oh, it's Dixie made a... It's R17 Other contact with Dixie there, they're both in the wall. Oh no, and has Dixie picked up any damage? That's the question. Mick and Yeri going side by side. Yeri on the soft compound tyre, he's making some big gains. So he's making that work. But out ahead, look at Matty now. He sees the championship leader ahead of him. What a recovery drive this would be for Matty to get himself back in about it. And of course, safety cars have not really helped Matty much because they all box together pretty much for them both. And FRA retired from the session sector 2. I think that's just a retirement on track. Matty now falling out the DRS just a little bit. We've got Shiv all over the back of Speechy. Oh, he's going a bit deep into the last corner. He's got to be careful with that. He's got Laverick close behind. And in these fresh soft compound tyres, how much of a dent can they put in the race? That's the question. Mick into the pits. Did Mick get damage? No, Mick picked up damage. So I think Dixie's been able to continue on. He's gone past on Rodders. They'll actually be side by side down into turn 1. Rodders going to hang it out in the brakes. Dixie should have the superior grip though. And through he goes. 2 and 3. Back up to P9 for now. 2.6 second gap to the cars in front. Then he's got a bit of a train. Can he pick his way back through? Of course, a lot of positions on offer due to penalties, so a long old race still to go. Love it picks up a time penalty for multiple warning as we watch our championship leader. I wonder. DRS enabled, and Speechy is going to start coming under a bit of pressure. Adam got himself all the way back up onto the back of this train already, so soft tyre working very nicely for him. And there goes Yeri on Laverick. Of course, no DRS for this main straight and up to turn 4 for this lap. They will have it coming out of the S's though, so they can line up somebody for the second time on the main straight. But look at the run Laverick's got in here on Yeri. But Yeri's superior tyre grip just helps him to pull away. And this is where the battling is at the moment. This midfield fight is very, very heavily contested. And Dixie now through, and Keith, Dixie up to P8, that's one they missed. So he's almost get back onto this lead queue or the soft compound tyre. And I mean the guys and the trainer still within striking distance, at least Shiv and Speechy are. And Yeri will pick up another time penalty for multiple warnings, and here we start to see the DRS come into play. Can Shiv get the run on Speechy down into turn 1? Let's see the energy, or they're pretty much even coming off the last corner, so I think it will be job done here for Shiv. Yeri has also fell out of that, so he could come under pressure, and look at Dixie on Laverick, here he comes, they both have the DRS. Laverick got a bucket load more energy, but Dixie just going to use the energy, push on the tyre. He wants track position back, and now he is back to within 1 position of where he was on that soft compound tyre off the restart, and still a couple of positions ahead in striking distance. Can he get the run in Yeri up to turn 4? I don't think he's going to get close enough. Let's go to Arvin and Metcalf. No DRS. Will we see a big move into the braking zone? He's going to choose against it. Now we've got Dixie on the back of Yeri. He'll be looking to go through. And he can clear Yeri this DRS zone because he will pick up the DRS from the guys in front. Yeri's actually going to go wide on the S's. Dixie will go through. And now he's up to P6. That little moment in left there cost him a bit of time, but the soft compound tyre should pull in that couple of tenths he needs in the last sector as long as he's nice and tidy. And hopefully gets himself back inside the DRS window to go in the push, but he's the man making all the action at the moment. And I thought I'd say that, and has he just been able to squeeze into that window. He is not this lap. Of course, Speechy don't have it, so that gap will come down. Yeri does have DRS, so he'll be able to get the run in Dixie. And here he comes, and we're going to see a big move down the inside. Dixie will cover that off and show Yeri that if he is going to come, he's going to have to fight hard for it. Dixie just needs to focus on his exit here, which he does very, very well. And I think he will have that move covered off for another lap. What's happening further down the order? Anything happen between these guys? I don't think so. And of course, with the penalties, oh, and it's raining. It is raining, chat. Now, if the rain stays like this, Dixie is on a very, very good tyre to see it out to the the inter tyres if they come in. And he's going to go for it on Speechy, round outside in the last corner. Very, very fair driving between the two, and Speechy's going to dive into the pits nice and early. And Dixie continues on. Now, how much of a gap can he close with that soft compound tyre? He is in P5, and P3 is on the cards because of the penalties ahead. And that soft compound tyre for Adam is working very, very well. Has this been... And you've got to think what could have been for Dixie, because this is looking to be a bit of a masterstroke in the strategy, because you see the time just collapse between that soft and medium compound tyre. He's just taking chunks of seconds out of Shiv every single corner. 2 tenths, 2 tenths, 2 tenths. He's going to be absolutely on him, and of course DRS still not being disabled, so we're very much still in the DRS. But I think... Oh, and Dixie picks up his first time penalty. Of course, Shiv ahead for the big moment. He's in the wall. Dixie has to avoid that, and I think you need that intermediate compound tyre. Now, will we see Matoman box off the lead of the race? But I think the intermediate tyre has to be the way, and DRS disabled, and that usually is the indication that you need to go onto that interslick tyre and try and pick up the momentum. And look at Dixie's really struggling now in his softs. The grip has just fell away from the circuit, so it's going to be inters for all. No more DRS, and it will be a clean 12 lap shootout till the end. And Matty, I think he'll feel good. I think he'll have the pace on Rob. We know how quick Chubby Slug can be on the grid in the wet. But let's just see. Pedro now into the pits also. He's going to go to the intermediate tyre. Wow. And Speechy gets a 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner and gaining a position. So it's not what he needed. And Mick took the inter tyres early, so can Mick get a couple of cheeky positions here on the early inter stop? Did he play it to perfection? He's got to get himself right back in the situation here. And Speechy and Dixie doing a bit of battling here. They go side by side. Speechy will go through. He's on 20 seconds of penalty, so I don't think Dixie needs to fight this too much, or he's going to try and drag race it all the way up to turn 4. Speechy will go very deep in the brakes now. Adam needs to be careful because it's going to be a very shallow car. Speechy being very, very fair there and taking the inside line. Dixie again leaving space. Speechy's still got his nose in there. We'll watch from afar because Yeri, Lavik and Pedro all looking to get involved in this fight. And at the moment, the podium is becoming out of strike for Dixie. 9.6 seconds away from Matty, and they're both even in penalties, so we need Matty to pick up a couple of penalties in the tricky conditions. But this race got rather interesting for the last 11 laps, and Matoman is in a very happy place. He doesn't even need to push through the tricky parts of the circuit now because he's got pace everywhere else on the track to really open the gap. And Rob Wells just keeping himself in the window that he needs to keep himself in. P2 is absolutely fine getting into the last race of the season next week. He doesn't need to take any risks or over push the car. He's just got to bring home results. Oh, and there's Pedro and Laverick going wheel to wheel. Pedro's trying to go around the long way, not quite this time. So, it may get a little bit dull now, chat. The racing may kind of stall out because the wet conditions make it very difficult for anybody to really mount a challenge on the driver in front. I'm sure they will all love to and try. It's not quite as easy as that as Pedro having to get on the defence of Keith. And into the tricky little stadium section, which is even more tricky now that it's these conditions. Dixie's starting to find a bit of time, so he's checking away from the guys behind. I'll speech it in the Red Bull. Look at Laverick, Pedro, Yeri and Keith all in a bit of battle here. And this is for P6 in the grid, so good points on offer. Laverick looking at Yeri, trying to get the move done. He'll try and go around the long way, but Yeri will shut that off. Saying not this time. Laverick looking at every lane he can. Yeri going a little bit wide. Is he going to try and roll it round the long way? Yeri does leave a car's width, and Laverick's actually able to shoot him deep there. Now, will he say that Yeri's got to give up that position? Will he feel he should give that back? Because I think Laverick gets the position. Pedro now going to try and get involved with these two. He just needs to get Laverick, because Yeri has 3 seconds more in penalties. Now who has the best straight line speed in the car? Pedro looking pretty racy. He's gaining here on the Aston Martin. And is he going to send one down the inside? Going to try, but Laverick very good on the brakes. Oh, and Pedro picks up his second time penalty for multiple warnings, and here's a big snap on the exit of turn 4. Manages to collect the rear of the car up, but up ahead, Speechy got himself back into the window of Dixie. And Dixie needs not really to fight this. There is absolutely no need. He's still got a P4 on the cards. As Matty really starts to close in on his championship rival. There's 9 laps to go. Could Matty gap Rob and put the 3 seconds on him? Well, that would make it very interesting. Definitely a gap to keep an eye on. And Arwen at the back picks up his 3rd penalty of the day. He's up to 9 seconds. And pretty much hoping for a safety car now. Safety cars to come out. There's a couple of positions on offer still, even from the back of the grid. 8 laps to go. And the race is pretty much, well, the racing has spluttered to a halt. But that's just how the wet conditions are. There's not much you can do about it. And Arden Evans gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And has he had a moment there? He is just letting the traffic come through. And Mataman got the gap out to 10 seconds. He is driving with intent this evening. Matty now got the gap down to 1.4, so it is coming in. Can he get close enough to mount a challenge on Rob? That's the question. Oh, he has a big moment there. Let's watch Laverick. He's going to sling one up the inside, and Yeri will go into the wall there. And Arvin Evans retires in the pits. They're now side by side, and Pedro will be watching this from behind. Maybe not so willing to get involved, although Yeri seems to have some good straight line speed in the car. And he just pulls away from Laverick, so Laverick's going to have to get the job done in the corner somewhere. Can he find the way through? So here he comes, ERS on. Nice bonk. Bonk such. Oh, and there's another bonk. Just a little bonk. And yeah, they've been a bit of a roadblock now. Pedro and Keith really involved in this battle. And then these guys mount a run. Laverick now not going to be able to roll it down in the brakes in these kind of conditions. And I tell you, is this getting a bit wet even for intermediate tyres? Could we end up in the full wets? That is the question. Mataman in a good place. Not much, honestly, Mike. Adam boxed in P6, from P6, went to softs, had a moment, fell to P11, drove back to P4 in the softs when the rain came. Got onto the inters, made some gains. He was the man probably making most of the action today. Matty, of course, at that early moment, he's drove back to P3. Nothing happening between Laverick and Yeri, and it's just Mick and Pedro in the fight beyond that. At this stage it goes on to next week, Stephen. If it finishes like this, which is just looking very much likely to be the case, it goes on to next week for all three drivers. Maybe we'll get more permutations, and I'll make sure that we have the lowdown of who needs what. No, this is the second last round. That's why I put below the stream. Exactly what Rob needed. Rob could have won the championship today if he won and Mataman was third or below and Matty was second or below. Laverick and Yeri still going at it here. Oh, and there's another bit of contact here. Laverick gets squeezed out, and now Keith will get the run. And Shiv coming to get involved in this one as well. He's just a bit further away than the others. And obviously Keith make a big move and Laverick down into turn one, although he really not got the energy. And look at the speed of Yeri on the straight. That's astronomical as he dives down the inside and Laverick and gets two for the price of one into turn one. And he is back ahead. The straight line speed of that Alpine, very reminiscent to today. Look now, there's a bit of a traffic jam, some contact from every driver as we've got Yeri, Laverick, Keith, Shiv, Pedro and Mick all in the queue. And this is for P6 in the grid, so getting through these drivers if you can with 4 laps to go really matters. And look how close these 4 drivers are in the conditions. They've got to be so delicate in all their inputs. One wrong move and the front wing could come off. Look at Pedro and Mick now. Mick goes up the inside. Pedro leaves space. Then Mick pushes him across the inside curb. Pedro has to back out of that one as we watch from the rear wing of Shiv, and then we'll go on board. Keith has a big moment on the main straight coming out the last corner, and now everybody's going to get the run and get through. Can Pedro capitalise on that mistake from Keith as well? He's going to get on the energy and get on the charge. He'll go to the inside line. Mick gets through, Pedro gets through, into turn 1 they go. And how this race just livened up a little bit as we got a yellow flag in sector 2. Who's that at the moment? I think that's Metcalf round. Yes, it was. I never says he squeezed him illegally. He definitely left him enough space, but the space was minimal. He could have left more. I never said squeezed him off track, SPW. So you need to understand racing better. Sorry, sir. I love you. Good evening, Rage. And look at Shiv round the outside through the S's. You don't overtake there in the conditions, but Shiv gets the job done. Laverick not finished with this one, but Mick trying to get involved. Again, we're watching the rear wing, and I thought Shiv was going to get a double squeeze there and end up in a pincer point on the inside. Squeezes Laverick out. Now Mick will look to the inside. Pedro still involved in this fight as well, as Laverick is hustling Shiv's car through the stadium section. Now can he get the run off the last corner as Mick picks up another time penalty for multiple warnings? So opportunity definitely ahead for this battle, and look at Mick on Laverick. Here he goes. I mean, you've even said the track limits are gas here. Flawed track limits are nothing to do with understanding racing. It's not really a dab moment. It just shows you that you genuinely need to know more about racing. Joke's on you. Pedro and Mick going side by side. Oh, and there's contact there between Pedro and Mick. Pedro had nowhere to go. He tried to push hard, and now Keith will try and roll it round the outside as we've got Gary, Laverick and Shiv still doing battle up ahead. We've got Matty all over the back, our championship leader as well. Matto man now 15.8 seconds ahead. He has been absolutely clinical. I just call it as I see it, sir. But whether it's Mick's fault or not, he is going to get through. Up to P7. I think he's just in the window to get P6 as well with the penalty speech he's racked up. Can he find some time in the last couple of laps to gain up and Shiv? That is the question. The day will be my pleasure, sir. And now Pedro on Laverick. Pedro got oodles of energy in that Alpha Tauri. Can he make the move? He's fully committed to the pass. Well, he's making an overtake, you absolute donkey. And round the outside he goes. No contact. Inside line for turn 2. And he will get that job done. Now can Matty push on through and get the job done and Rob? I don't think there's enough running left really to pull away the gap. And Matty will feel that he could have had P2 quite easily. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I agree. That is shocking. Keith on Laverick getting swallowed up a little bit in these closing stages of the race. The damn conditions not being his friend at all, Keith. A kind of half-hearted attempt there and the brakes down into 12. That's a fact. SPW. So let's go to Matty. He's very, very close now to Rob. 2 laps to go. One more after this one they are on. Is he willing enough to get the elbows out in a way that pushes Rob into a mistake? of course, Matty with that turn 1 incident, or turn 2 incident, between himself and Skarma. Even if he gets a minor time penalty though, he's got a monumental gap to Dixie behind it. I don't think it makes much difference. So it's pretty safe as Mataman ticks us on to the last lap of the race. He is heading down already to turn 1 as Rob Wells and Matty now just come out the last corner. And I'm intrigued to see who took the fastest lap. I think it was Mataman. And Rob Wells, I think, is going to have the measure of Matty, but we'll go on board with Mataman as he heads through the last lap. In his Alfa Romeo, he came here, he had to win. And bar no mistake, he's done exactly that. Absolutely clinical when the conditions got tricky. And we've got a yellow flag, sector 3, I think that's Keith having a moment. He falls down the order just a little bit. But yeah, when the conditions got tricky, Matt has been very, very good. He's just extended that gap slowly, not took any risks. And through the S's for the last time. He's got the stadium section to go. And then he comes to turn 12 for the last time. And he keeps his championship hopes alive. Get into next weekend. Of course, 1 round left in the championship. With it all to play for, could there be late drama? Will Rob be able to see it out around the last corner he comes? He takes the championship to the final round. Chubby Slug wins in Mexico. Matty hot on the heels of Rob Wells, but I don't think he'll be close enough to get through. Rob Wells is just doing what he has to do, scoring the points at the top of the grid, getting the job done. And Matty recovered very, very well to keep his championship hope alive, because in the early phases of this race it looked all over. Dixie with the masterstroke strategy in the soft compound tyre. What could have been for Dixie? He fell away a bit in this rainy conditions, but yeah, if he doesn't have that moment. Then the Red Bulls, a very good day for the Red Bulls. Speechy and Mick, as SPW says in the chat, a very, very good recovered race, and I think he will get top 5 now at the line with the penalties. I think he is in the window, so Mick will get top 5. I think Pedro might even sneak into the top 6. Mick goes P5, Pedro does go P6. Speechy falls to 7. Pedals broke, ouch. Laverick P8, Keith P9, Rodders P10. Shiv will be classified, he'll be in P11. Yeri P12 and Metcalf at P13. So let's get the guys in for a chat. So let's get the boys in and see what they have to say for themselves. Where are they? We need Chubby Bubby, Rob, and we need Matty. Get them in for a chat. Well done to Matt. A solid job for Rob. He just done what he had to do. You have fun now, SPW. And Matty, a very, very stellar recovery to get that P3 back, because it looked very, very grim for him in the early phases of the race. Well, we'll start with yourself, though, Matterman, since you've joined us. A very, very good day in the office. Unfortunately, I missed how you got the jumping, Rob, in the early phase of the race. I think it was through turns 2 and 3.
Yes, it was. So I got into the inside of Rob, obviously, during turn 1, and then through turn 2 and through as well. So I ultimately ran turn 3. I managed to get in front, and I had to pull away from there.
Which you did. You got the push on. And I think the pace was very even. You were just able to get it to the DRS point, and then once you've broke that gap, it's very, very hard, right? You know that. Yeah. I think that's why you put the early push on. It's usually sensible to hold on to energy, but when you're the guy at the front and you get that jump, if you feel you've got an early pace in the car, you've got to break that DRS, because that gives you the bigger opportunity to start putting a gap in the drivers behind. Because if Rob stayed there, that would have been it. You would have been going at it for the remainder of the race. Then the safety cars come, you get, I'd say there were pretty reasonable restarts between yourself and Rob, both very, very similar. and then the conditions. Once that damp weather came, you really started to stretch your legs in that second half of the race. And I think
Yeah, I
you
was
showed
hoping.
there that if there is a glimmer of chance, you are going to take it by both hands and try and drive it home. That was clinical stuff.
Yes, I once that wet weather came, I was a very happy man. Um, and I knew because I knew that rain was coming, I had to get in front of Rob. Rob knows this as a fact. If I'm behind him, there is no way I'm getting past him in the wet weather. He
Yeah, that's
defends
very true.
very
Yeah.
well. So yeah, it was a very good race from everyone. Matty done a really good recovery to get that P3 spot. I didn't catch what happened. Adam told me that an incident happened, but
I
it's
think it was contact between Matty and Skarma, but we will.
Paul's internet just fucking killed me. And then someone spun Chiv round and he didn't go mid track and I was mowing.
oh
Yikes.
no,
And then it put ads on by mistake.
oh no, not a good race, usually.
What a fuck, mate. It was grim.
So, Matoman, you take the championship on to next weekend. That was worst case scenario. That's all you had to do today, right? You came here,
Yeah.
you won the race. The gap doesn't matter whether it was a tenth or 100 seconds. It don't matter as long as you're winning. And Rob
Yeah.
is behind you. There is a chance. Of course, next week it's a little bit different. I think you'll still need some luck to go in your favour, or Rob to have an off day. But still, to next week
Still a
you go.
chance. I was hoping to get the fastest lap on that one as well, but I have a little chat with Mick. He nicked it from me.
Oh, did he? I was actually
Yeah.
wondering at the end of the race who got it in the dry conditions.
Yeah, it was Mick. He done 17 sank, and I looked up and I thought, damn it.
But it is what it is. You take
It
home
is
the
indeed.
maximum points in terms of race. So,
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
job done. Very good job, Matthew.
Man. Cheers up.
Rob,
Well done, mate.
Good evening.
good evening, sir. A very sensible and stable drive. You're a man on a mission to take absolutely no risks. You know what's at stake, and I think the old head is proving strong.
Yeah, into turn one, me and Mataman were side by side into two, and then I knew we'd then have inside into three, so I just kind of let him go. Followed him as close as I could. As soon as I realised that I wasn't as quick as, well, I was as quick but not going to gain anything in first stint, and we were pulling a really good gap to them behind, I just kind of settled into that'll do. And
Yep.
just thought, I'll sit there. I knew bad weather were coming. I knew I was never going to catch him in bad weather because apparently he's got some mod where he can just accelerate permanently in wet weather and gain 17 seconds a lap or something ridiculous. And I knew at that point, Matty was having, I don't know, a war with the game or his life or something, and was 19th and last. And I was like, right, there's no point me doing anything. There's no point pushing. There's no point trying to get any. There's no point picking up warnings. There's just no point doing anything. And I just accepted that as long as I finished there, that's the best result I could get without winning. So it was just easier just to sit there and think, I know bad weather's coming, and that's when I've got to concentrate and save everything for, because I know I'm slow. So it would just hang on till rain, because I knew Matty would disappear, and it was who was going to come behind me, which happened to be Matty, which I didn't expect. And then I knew I just got to hang on for however many laps there were with him behind me.
You may say you're slow, sir, but you're very consistent.
Yeah, I'm just not the quickest in the rain at all. I'm cautious to not spin, or try not spin.
But still, not taking risk was always had to be the game plan, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything, I think you'd have been happy with anything top three, even top four. I think you'd have still walked away from today not too worried, because I think even still going into the last race, as I said to Matthew, these guys need a bit of luck to go in their favour, or you to have an off day. But if you're driving like that, these guys are not like watching that. Of course, they'll know that it's going to take something monumental for the championship probably to swing in their favour, but they're trying to take it to the death.
Yeah, my strategy now is just keep clean. Even if I have to run totally off track and give up 12 places at start of Brazil, it doesn't matter. It's just keep it clean and keep it on the road, and come back and do whatever I can from there.
And of course, the season ends on a sprint, right?
It does, yeah. So there's 41 points left available,
So very, very entertaining stuff left to go.
with a 29 gap to Mataman and 32 to Matty.
Is that as it stands after tonight's results?
Yes. Yeah.
So all to play for sure. And of course,
All,
with a
all three
sprint,
of us can still win it.
we've seen it now after a season across a lot of leagues with the sprints. It seems to be a type of racing where momentum can really swing in the favour of a good result in the sprint format. So I think that first race could be key to how the championship pans out. It'll be very, very interesting to see, and of course very, very track where you'll all be very competitive.
Yeah, it should be very, very good, that.
So very good job, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
You live to win another day.
Thank you.
And even if you don't win, the title's the one that matters, so I wish you all the best going into the last round.
Thank you very much.
Matty,
Good evening.
I've never seen you have such an up and down race, young man. That was interesting, entertaining, probably not for you, in terms of from the spectator point, and you having to methodically fight your way back through the pack. It was good.
If I didn't desperately need to beat Rob, then I would say it was a good race of recovery, but the fact I need to beat Rob and I didn't just makes it a bit shit.
But still, either way, you got to think about it in this terms. No matter what, right? Get into next week. You've kept the championship alive. You're still in it. There's that 40 odd points available. You're 30 odds behind. So you just need to focus on the two good results. What will be, you know. Because what you've got to focus on, Matty, is at the start of that race, your championship was over. That position when you fell to the back of the grid, that was done. Your grit and determination to get even remotely close to Rob near the end of that race kept your hopes alive. I think that's what you should focus on primarily from tonight.
Yeah, in the end, I have to look at it like you said. I'm still in the fight. Need a miracle, but still in it.
And it was always looking that way. Once Rob had bridged a gap, right, as long as he's finishing well, you knew that something would probably need to swing in your favour. We all know what racing's like. But with a sprint race coming up, they stay early. The first sprint races are usually pretty punchy. So anything could happen.
I mean, at the end then, even though I was catching Rob, I never thought to myself, oh, I'm going to try a move. I knew what Rob were doing because I'd have done the exact same. Just get yourself to the line, pick up the points. I had to overtake him and gain 3 seconds. It was just never going to happen. I was making sure I didn't take him out.
I mean,
because I wouldn't have liked that. And it wouldn't have looked good.
Yeah. It's funny that the spectator head of me wants to say something really sly and funny, but I'm not going to. Because
I know what you're thinking, but
of course, the way the grid started tonight with you three in the top three, and kind of, if you don't have your moment, I'd have been interested to see just how much that fight played out between all three of you at the start. Because of course, if you put a car in between yourself or Rob, or you hurried Rob along, or you had both a DRS, that could have been a three-way fight. So I hope it's like that for the next and last race. If it's like that, I think it'll be very entertaining between the three years.
I think Rob was quicker than me anyway, drive, but it didn't help the roll-up car between us on the safety car restart.
Yes. But luckily he did get out of the way nice and early.
I was tempted to pit for a pair of softs, when the safety car came out, but I didn't, and I was glad because the cars behind stayed out.
Well, see, Dixie did take the softs. It's interesting you say that. Dixie is one I'll mention. He did go to the softs, and he came out in P6, got whacked, spun round, I think he was in P11, and still managed to drive that soft tyre in the conditions back to P4 before he went for the inter tyre. So
I think if I could go back, I would have took the gamble and put the softs on. I think I'd have lost 2 positions.
yeah, because I felt Adam, without his instinct, could have been really putting pressure on you guys at the front.
But yeah, when it started raining, I saw Matterman like 15 seconds. But when I was looking, it was like 4 seconds, and then it was 15 because I'd like zoned out. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Macho Man doing his alien things in the wet weather. But anyway,
Every time I caught the
sorry,
back of Rob, every time I caught the back of Rob, I had a big moment every time. I don't know if you saw one that last corner, nearly put it in wall.
Yeah, it's the wet weather. It's entertaining, but it's a big neutralizer, right? Because the minute you get close to somebody else, the car just does not feel good at all. And to really get a move done, you've got to have a tyre advantage, and it's just not possible in the wet weather, right? You really need a mistake ahead to really mount a run on the driver in front. But still, Matty, as we say, you were at the start of that race. From the end of lap 1, your championship was over, and somehow you drove yourself back to the podium to keep the championship alive into Brazil for the sprint and feature race left. So very, very good job today, sir. And I always call it every week, you would have been my driver of the day for the recovery. So that was, yeah, a very good job on that front.
Cheers.
So well done to Matty, to Rob, and to Matt. And I very much look forward to seeing how the championship closes next week at Brazil. That is going to be one not to be missed.
2 weeks today, Chris.
Oh, 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, because Grand Prix next weekend, Canada. So 2 weeks from today, or a little break, so they have 14 days to master plan the attack. And then they will go to war one last time for the season. So until then, we will see you soon.